Let's face it, the bedroom is the one place where things can go from steamy to stormy in seconds. Maybe you've felt that sting of awkwardness, or that "did I do it right" anxiety creeping in after the sheets settle. No one wants to admit it, but men often make the same mistakes in bed, ones that could turn a romantic night into an awkward disaster. Now don't freak out. You're not alone, and guess what? Fixing these blunders doesn't require rocket science, just a little self-awareness and the willingness to learn from, let's call them, misadventures. Ready to dive in? Let's unravel the 10 biggest bedroom blunders that most men make, and how avoiding them could completely transform your game between the sheets. Mistake number 1. Skipping the warm-up. Think of foreplay as the opening act to a great concert. You wouldn't want to skip the anticipation, right? Yet, many men rush through it like it's some sort of formality. What they don't realize is that this warm-up is the main event for many women. A lot of guys assume that it's the fireworks at the end that matter most, but here's the truth. Those fireworks don't happen without lighting the fuse. And that fuse? It's foreplay. Foreplay isn't just about touching. It's about building connection, teasing the senses, and heightening anticipation. When you take your time, it's like turning the volume up slowly, letting the excitement build until it's practically buzzing. Skipping this step is like trying to bake a cake without preheating the oven. You're setting yourself up for disappointment. So, instead of rushing through, embrace the journey. Explore the different ways you can get her excited, whether it's with your words, your hands, or even just the way you look at her. The slower and more thoughtful you are, the more intense the experience will be when things heat up. Mistake number 2. Treating her like a blueprint. If you've ever thought, well, this worked last time, so it'll definitely work now, you're in dangerous territory. Women aren't copy-paste puzzles. What sends one person over the moon might be a snooze fest for someone else. If you've ever followed a step-by-step approach based on past experience, thinking it's some sort of golden formula, stop. Right now. This is where so many men go wrong. They rely on what's familiar instead of being attuned to this specific partner. Sure, maybe your ex liked one thing, but that doesn't mean it's universally adored. Every woman has her own preferences, and the only way to uncover them is to ask and observe. There's no shame in asking what feels good or what she enjoys. In fact, it shows that you care enough to cater to her needs, not just your own. It's not about mastering a fixed set of moves. It's about understanding that every woman is an individual with her own unique roadmap to pleasure. The only way to get there is by staying curious, engaged, and flexible. Mistake number 3, focusing on just one thing. If you're treating intimacy like a race to the finish line, you're doing it wrong. This is one of the biggest misconceptions, that the whole point of the experience is to achieve one thing. Here's the deal. It's not just about the end goal, it's about the entire experience. When men focus too much on the final act, they miss out on everything in between. They rush through the foreplay, skim over the connection, and treat the in-between moments as filler instead of realizing that those moments are just as important. Think of it like this. Would you watch a movie just for the last 5 minutes? Of course not. The plot, the build-up, the climax, and the resolution are all part of the story. The same goes for intimacy. When you're fixated on one destination, you lose the beauty of the journey. Relax, explore, and enjoy the little moments. They're often the most memorable. Mistake number 4, misunderstanding the power of communication. Sex without communication is like playing a sport without a coach. You're bound to make mistakes. One of the most common blunders men make is assuming that talking about what's happening in bed somehow kills the mood. The truth, it amplifies it. Let's break it down. When you open up a dialogue, whether it's as simple as asking, "Do you like this?" Or being bold enough to say, "What would you want to try?" You're showing vulnerability and a willingness to improve. This doesn't just lead to better experiences, it builds an incredible level of trust. What's more, communication isn't limited to words. Her body language, facial expressions, and even her breathing can tell you a lot, if you're paying attention. Ask questions, listen to answers, and adjust as you go. When both of you are on the same page, everything flows more naturally and the connection deepens. Mistake number 5, ignoring body language. You might think everything's going great if she's not saying anything to the contrary, but here's the harsh truth. Silence doesn't equal satisfaction. Just because she's not giving verbal feedback doesn't mean you're hitting all the right notes. The body has its own way of speaking, and if you're not paying attention, you're missing out on crucial information. Maybe she's shifting uncomfortably, or her breathing pattern changes. These subtle cues are her body's way of telling you what's working and what isn't. Sometimes it's the little things that signal a big change in direction. Is she pulling away? Is her body tense? These are signs that something's off, and if you ignore them, you'll be completely out of sync with her needs. The more you tune in to nonverbal cues, the more connected you'll be to your partner's experience. This skill, over time, can make you more intuitive and responsive, leading to better intimacy overall. Number 6. Repeating the same old moves. No one likes a predictable routine, especially not in the bedroom. Yet many men fall into the trap of doing the same things over and over because, well, they used to work. Here's the problem. What's exciting the first few times can quickly become boring if it's always the same. Variety is the spice of life, and the bedroom is no exception. If you've got a greatest hits list of moves that you cycle through every time, it's time to expand your repertoire. Relationships, especially long-term ones, thrive on novelty and excitement. Trying new things, whether it's positions, pacing, or even adding some playful spontaneity, keeps the spark alive. Think of it like going to your favorite restaurant. Sure, that one dish might be amazing, but would you order it every single time? Of course not. You'd want to explore the menu, discover new flavors, and have experiences that keep you coming back for more. The same goes for intimacy. Number 7. Being too rough, too soon. Ever heard the saying, "Patience is a virtue"? Well, it applies here too. Some men mistake going fast and hard for being passionate, but more often than not, it ends up being too much, too soon. There's a big difference between passion and aggression, and if you're not careful, you might cross that line without even realizing it. The key here is reading the moment. Sure, there's a time and place for intensity, but it should be built up gradually. You can't just dive into the deep end without first testing the waters. Being too rough too soon can be jarring and even uncomfortable for your partner. Start slow, gauge her reactions, and let the intensity rise naturally. There's something incredibly powerful about pacing yourself, building the tension until it's almost unbearable. When you do that, the payoff is exponentially better. Number 8. Overthinking performance. If you're constantly worried about how you're performing in bed, you're doing yourself a disservice. Overthinking can kill the moment faster than anything else. When you're too focused on doing everything perfectly, you lose the spontaneity, the connection, and, most importantly, the fun. Anxiety and stress are bedroom buzzkills. They keep you stuck in your head instead of being present in the moment. The truth is, your partner isn't judging you as harshly as you think. In fact, they're likely more focused on the connection you're building than on whether you've got every move down to a science. So, take a deep breath, relax, and stop worrying about being perfect. When you let go of the pressure to perform, you'll find that things naturally flow much better. Number 9, forgetting aftercare. After the action winds down, what's your next move? If your answer is rolling over and falling asleep, you're making one of the most common and overlooked bedroom blunders. Aftercare, or the attention you give after intimacy, is just as important as what happens before and during. It's the key to creating emotional connection and ensuring that your partner feels valued, respected, and comfortable. A simple cuddle, a few kind words, or even just lying together in silence can make all the difference. Skipping this step can make your partner feel like the moment was purely physical, without any deeper emotional meaning. But when you take the time to stay present and connected after, it shows that you care about them on a more profound level. Think of it as putting the finishing touches on a masterpiece. Don't walk away before it's complete. Number 10, not being present. Last but definitely not least, we have the ultimate mistake, not being present. You could be physically there, but if your mind is wandering, thinking about work, checking the clock, or planning tomorrow's breakfast, you're not really there. And trust me, your partner will notice. Being fully present means putting everything else out of your mind and focusing entirely on your partner and the experience. It's about tuning in to each other's needs, reading each other's energy, and fully immersing yourself in the moment. When you're present, everything becomes more intense, more meaningful, and more enjoyable for both of you. So, the next time you find your mind drifting, bring it back to the moment. Focus on the sensations, the connection, and the experience. You'll be surprised at how much richer and more fulfilling intimacy can be when you're truly there. Now that you know the top 10 bedroom blunders, what's the next step? Simple. Don't make these mistakes. By avoiding these common pitfalls, you're setting yourself up for more satisfying and fulfilling experiences. Just remember, it's not about perfection. It's about connection, communication, and most importantly, having fun. And hey, the best part? You're already on your way to becoming the kind of partner who gets it, one who knows that the best experiences come from understanding, learning, and embracing the moment. So, go out there and make those moments count.